Я адресую вопрос Nando Yax, ассоциированному директору Gvatemala Fashion Week. Ну, судя по ролику, довольно масштабное мероприятие. Расскажите о результатах, о масштабах, как это все происходило, сколько подключается дизайнеров обычно в Gvatemala Fashion Week.
Привет. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to start saying Sakarik Iwanogel, Kinkotik Rumal in Kogwara, Kintak Utsiliwach, Iwanogel in Ah Ishimodel. Good morning, everyone. My name is Fernando Yax from Guatemala. I previously spoke in Maya Quiche language, which is an indigenous language from Guatemala, from the ancient kingdom of the Maya Quiche, which I'm descendant. Today I represent not just Guatemala, my organization, but also the Mayan people. I'm very happy to be here for the second time. It's such an honor to share our expertise and our knowledge. Sometimes you don't realize all the effort that you put in your event. Sometimes you are behind the backstage, you don't sort until you are in front of Russia and you see your video, you're like, oh wow, that's huge, you know. But it has taken us 10 years to build this event. Let me check my notes. When we started 10 years ago, we thought about what contribution Guatemala could give to the regional industry in Latin America. We didn't want to replicate something that already existed, not just in the big fashion capitals of Europe or North America, but also in our own region. When thinking on our event, we realized that fashion was not an integral part of our society. It was something very new that Guatemalan people used to see in the big fashion capitals. So in our first edition, 10 years ago in 2014, we presented 8 designers, from which 7 were Guatemalan and 1 was Mexican. For this year's edition, we are presenting more than 45 Guatemalan designers and 15 international designers. And it has been a huge shift for us. But how was it done? While betting and creating opportunities for designers to show the greatest that we have in our country, which is our culture, an ancient textile heritage and ancestral artisanal techniques. By integrating the artisan and indigenous communities of Guatemala with designers, creating programs of technification for the communities, and providing a platform to showcase their work. We have created an emerging platform that is now turning into a reference and case of study in our region. Although we see global trends changing season after season, we as Guatemala Fashion are committed to showcase timeless collections, to redefine the new luxury, which is handmade fashion.
Как гватемальские дизайнеры интегрируют традиционные ремесла? Как находится мостик между трендами и сохранением традиций?
Well, it's been a complex process because, well, for those of you who don't know where Guatemala is, it's right in the central part of Central America. We are an 18 million population country, and more than 60% of the population is Mayan people. And from that population, nearly 30% has very limited access to education. So we are still a developing country. So that has been a huge challenge, because besides of that, in Guatemala we spoke 23 different languages besides Spanish. So it's kind of complicated to integrate different communities from all over the country to speak one language. And what we have done is create programs of technification for the artisans that have very limited access to education, and by giving them tools of color trends, what is happening around the world, in the artisanal world, and creating fairs of contacts with designers so they can show their products and their techniques to designers, so designers have the chance to envision the opportunities they can create with products, and that way we merge the artisanal world with the designers. That had resulted in a very successful experiment, almost in a way to say, because although Latin America has very similar characteristics, each country is very different, Guatemala is the fourth country with the biggest artisan population in Latin America, besides Mexico, Colombia, and Peru. And we have studied their cases as well, which are kind of similar but are not the same. So we took a little bit from this, a little bit from that, and we created a kind of Frankenstein program, and then put it in Toronto, Guatemala, and the result is terrific, and you just saw part of it in the video.
Какие вызовы и возможности вы видите для развития модной индустрии в Латинской Америке в целом через призму недели моды в Гватемале?
Well, besides being associate director of my organization, Guatemala Fashion Week, I work as well as public relations director, and I have the opportunity to work with many designers across Latin America. And what I have seen across the region is a common problem that was mentioned previously, is that the big brands are competing with our own designers. Latin America is a very vast region with more than 500 million population. We all united by one same language. So it's very appealing to the North American and Western European labels. And every day we see more and more brands coming into our region. So for most of the Latin American designers, that is a challenge. So what I see is that our platforms, I can see some of my colleagues from Latin America here, from Panama, Ecuador, Nicaragua, other countries from Latin America. What we have seen is that our platforms have become a window to showcase the talent of the designers. So that way the fashion weeks are becoming more relevant. And what is beautiful to see is that every day more Latin American designers are becoming huge names in the North American market or Western European market, and they started in our platform, so we have seen them grow. Some of them have been finalists for the famous LVMH prize and stuff like that. So, but they started in our platform, so that is a confirmation that the fashion weeks across Latin America are very relevant.
Как вы работаете с молодыми дизайнерами? Как их поддерживаете?
Well, I can speak by my platform, but I can see the same as well in some other platforms across Latin America, is that during our fashion weeks we have different branches. For example, in Guatemala we have a branch called Academy, where the top students from each university that has a fashion school showcases one talent in one night during Guatemala Fashion Week. And one of these students has the opportunity to win a scholarship in an institution in Milano. So that is very huge for them, because they have the opportunity to keep learning, not just like presenting in a major fashion week like this in Guatemala, but have the opportunity to keep their education abroad. We have also a program called the Startup Project, where we make an open call for young entrepreneurs, very young brands, and we give them a little coaching program so they can start like experimentally into the real world, because sometimes students they gain all this knowledge in their schools, but in real life it's completely different, you know. So it's kind of interesting to see how they progress from being into school into being in the real world by showcasing a collection in a fashion week, then selling in a pop-up store, and sometimes they have the chance to even sell on concept stores in Guatemala City. So that's the way we integrate new talents to the ecosystem that already exists.
А среди потребителей пользуются ли популярностью локальные бренды в большей степени, нежели чем мировые известные марки?
Well, we wish it was that way, you know. But what is very interesting is that after the pandemic year, everybody became more conscious about being supportive with local. And at least in Guatemala, there are too much social events every weekend. And what happens usually is that sometimes, mostly with the girls, they don't want repeat outfits. So designers have found a very special niche in that sector because many of these girls, they just make them dress with designers, so they have a unique piece for party, a wedding, a cocktail, or whatever, you know. So that is very interesting. But also what I have seen is that not just in Guatemala but across Latin America is that our platforms have become relevant because although we are very alike across Latin America, we are very different in each country. And every one of us is very nationalist. We want to support our local designers. So most of the fashion weeks across Latin America happens not just the runways, but also pop-up stores where fashion designers can sell the collection that was just seen on the runway right away in a pop-up store. So you have the immediate effect of, oh, I want that right now. So that way, designers gain new customers. They sometimes have the opportunity to, you know, regain the investment of producing a collection because sometimes it's very expensive. So that way, I believe that fashion weeks have a very solid platform for designers to show because they see an opportunity to grow.